Good afternoon. We are starting CO66. We are identifying linear pairs as well as complementary, supplementary, adjacent, and vertical angles. These shouldn't be new words to us. We did a quick review of these words before the math test. So we should have a basic understanding of them. We're going to look at them a little bit more. So let's start with, let me move this up. Complementary angles. Who remembers what a complementary angle is? Katie. So two angles whose sum is 90 degrees. What does it mean to be a sum? Nathan?
When you add them together,
add them together. So a sum is adding together. So if we add two angles, their sum is 90 degrees. Do these two angles need to be next to each other?
No.
Any two angles that you can add together to equal 90 degrees. Okay, they do not have to be next to each other. So an example could be, let's say this is a right angle, and we have 30 degrees and 60 degrees. They add 30 and 60 together, it equals 90. Or you could have 30 degrees over here and 60 degrees over here. Those two angles are complementary because we could add them together. It doesn't matter if they're next to each other or not. Who remembers what a supplementary angles are? Caitlin.
Two angles where the sum is 180.
Two angles whose sum is 180 degrees. So again, they could be next to each other. We know a straight angle is 180 degrees. So it could be something like this, where we have 40 degrees and 140 degrees. They are supplementary. I can see that they make a straight line. Or maybe we have, make it easy for my drawing. That's not a good one. Two 90-degree angles, not next to each other, but you add 90 and 90 together, it would be 180 degrees. It could be a 50-degree angle and a 130-degree angle. As long as the two angles added together equal 180 degrees. Hello? He is with me. Perfect. I will let him know. Thank you. Bye-bye. Your car today. Mom just called Julian. Okay. Okay. Our next one is an adjacent angles. What are adjacent angles? Who remembers? Oh, adjacent and adjacent. It's like tomato, tomato. Nathan?
Aren't they two angles that are the same?
Nope, they are not congruent.
Two angles that share common side and vertex and do not overlap. What?
They are what? Wait. I was looking at the wrong one. Say that again, Caitlin.
Two angles that share a common side and a vertex and do not overlap.
Yes.
What?
Wow, you kept your binder sheet. So the way Mr. Schultz wrote it was angles that have a common side. So what that means,
What?
that's one of the Math 6 binder sheets that I passed out. She kept it because she's a smarty pants. Adjacent angles. They share a vertex, like Caitlin said, and they share a common side. So this is one angle, this is another angle. They are adjacent because they share this side and they share the vertex. So adjacent angles or next to each other.
I'm a little bit. So
So-
they have to share one line.
They have to share a line, and they share the vertex. So they have to share the point, and they share a line. Complementary don't have to be next to each other. Supplementary don't have to be next to each other. Adjacent have to be next to each other. Okay, so if two angles share, if they are right next to each other, they are adjacent. If they share the vertex and share a side. Okay. Can I erase and move it up? A linear pair. Linear pair, this is not on my binder sheet. A linear pair are adjacent angles. Wow, I need to spell adjacent correctly. Adjacent angles. So if they're adjacent, they are right next to each other. So the adjacent angles that sum to, that should be a 1, that sum to 180 degrees. They make a what?
Make a straight line.
Make a line, a straight line. Yep. So we saw with supplementary angles could be a straight line, but they didn't have to be. They could be separated. If it's a linear pair, they have to make that straight line. So they have to be adjacent, so they make that straight line. Okay? Linear pairs have to be adjacent. Vertical angles.
These are the ones that are the same, right? Aren't they the same?
There's more to it than
Yeah,
that.
there's more.
Because vertical angles, those are not vertical angles. What makes a vertical angle a vertical angle? They are congruent. So you are correct that they're congruent. What else do we know? Paul,
That they're vertical from each other.
what do we call that?
X and Y. Mirroring? Is it
Not parallel.
perpendicular?
Andrea?
A pair of opposite angles.
Opposite. They're opposite each
That's
other.
good. Wow.
So, angles opposite each other. At a common vertex. They are congruent. So we know they are the same size. Vertical angles are always congruent. So if you know the measurement of one vertical angle, you know the measurement of the other vertical angle. So when we do an example, let's do, not a very good example, I've got all curvy on me, like that. Let me try that again. There. So this angle is opposite of this angle. They share a vertex. They are congruent. So they are the same measurement. This angle and this angle are opposite of each other. They are congruent. So this one is 130 degrees, then this one is 130 degrees. So vertical angles are opposite of each other and are congruent. So let's look at what we're doing today. Study the diagrams below and use them to answer the questions. So you're using these diagrams. Decide which ones are complementary, vertical, adjacent, supplementary, and linear. there can be more than one set that answers these. So you could have multiple answers. You need to mark them all, not just one. Use any of them. So if A fits into two different ones, then it goes under two different things. Okay? We were seeing in our examples that some things can fall under more categories. Does that make sense? So adjacent angles, there's more than one set of adjacent angles up there. So I should see multiple letters. You need to find all the ones that fit. Okay. So then underneath, draw and label a diagram for each of the following. So you just need one example. So hopefully you are writing down examples as I was doing them on the last page, because you could use the same examples if they work. Then determine whether each statement below is true or false. If it is false, correct it. Make it true. So if it's false, correct it. Now I am going to point out that Mr. Schultz, when he typed this up, he made it with supplementary angle, add to be 180 degrees. What do you think that's supposed to read? Supplementary angles. So put an S there. Okay, it's not just one angle. So put an S on that. Supplementary angles add to be 180 degrees. Yeah. If there was no S there and people read it literally, you are correct. It would be false because it's not just one angle. That's not a sum. You can't add one angle. So he meant to have an S there. He didn't. Oops. And he has been corrected on that. Any other questions? Okay. To my friends at home, we hope you are well, and we hope to see you soon. Let's